Welcome to the Changemaker's Corner, powered by Fuel, an interview series spotlighting different grassroots leaders, social impact innovators, and young changemakers across Toronto and the GTA. At Changemaker's Corner, we pull back the curtain on changemaking work, shine a light on the realities of the social impact sector, and reimagine a better future for meaningful and authentic change in our communities. Learn more about Fuel at fuelchange.org and on social media at Fueling Changemakers. I am sitting here today with none other than Shoolie. Welcome, Shoolie. How you doing?
Welcome. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Shoolie is an artist, a poet, a spoken word artist, a storyteller, a community organizer, a programmer, a mentor, and just does amazing things for his community in Scarborough and beyond. But you know, that is what I gather from but who are you, Shoolie? How do you present or identify yourself when someone asks you that? What do you say?
For sure. I mean, I start with Shoolie. Shoolie. I'm Shoolie. That is my stage name when I perform as a spoken word artist. I see myself as someone who wants to provide the same opportunities that I got when I first started out doing spoken word, and trying to give that to the youth in my own community, and just sharing the power of storytelling and writing. Yeah, that healing aspect in our art, really. And I'll probably talk about that as I talk more about my story, but I think that's.
But I love how you lead with that. I love how healing and art are so connected for you, because they are for me too.
Yeah.
And so thank you. Okay, but you know what? That's a great segue. So why don't we just get right into it? Yeah.
For sure.
Just dive into it. What is the Shoolie origin story? When did that start? Where is it now?
For sure. So Shoolie started in high school. Really.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always been a writer, and I didn't like sharing my stuff until I started fell down this rabbit hole called Def Jam Poetry, and discovered spoken word poetry. And with that, I started really just watching and writing and having that want to perform and share my poetry. Enter Unity Charity, going into one of the schools that I was in, and gave me this platform of being able to perform, and then started performing and doing spoken word poetry, and me meeting you in the process, and having such amazing mentor in the community. And I remember really there was this point in time where I experienced loss and grief, and it was through my art that I was able to heal. It's actually a story where I used to go into the shower, and that's where all these creative energy would flow, right? And during that time, it became this really dark place. And part of the healing process was, being back in the shower and all those creative energy coming back, and that felt like healing to me. I cried in that, while I was showering, and I was like, wow, that's how much kind of my art and my community has helped me. And so after that, I started looking around, the Scarborough area, seeing where, what community there is for the arts. And really, I didn't find as much. Because when I was growing up, everything was always downtown Toronto, mentors, spoken word slams and whatnot, and I wanted to bring that closer to home. And so I started this organization called Stay Golden, which this is a safe space for youth, for arts and healing, and just giving them the opportunity. I really want the things that I've learned, and the opportunities, the resources that I've gathered, and knowing that it's possible, to get those resources. I want to give that to the next generation.
Wow.
And so that's kind of what we do in terms of Stay Golden. We mostly do workshops, but we also mentor youth who are really engaged. And I think there's there's a lot of cool things that we're working on in the future that I'm really excited to as well.
Wow, that's exciting, and a little like tidbit, a little kind of like peek at what's to come, and I'm really excited. Stay Golden is an amazing organization. Obviously, I've been grateful to have had an opportunity to facilitate for one of your programs.
It was a wonderful workshop.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was great.
I had a great time. I really did. So thank you for having me, Shoolie. But also just like the work you're doing in Scarborough is so important. I think so much of a culture bearers in regards to just art in general, but also in spoken word, come from Scarborough. And so, but it's interesting how so many of those culture bearers who come from Scarborough didn't have the resources the past, I guess the past decade to do the art in Scarborough. It wasn't sustainable. They had to go into Toronto to some events. And so you've had like Toronto events full of people from Scarborough performing. And then I was just like, why isn't this exist in Scarborough? And obviously there's many reasons as to why that doesn't exist there, but I'm glad that you're part of the movement to have more Scarborough-based programming.
Yeah, it was really like when we all started, when I started spoken word poetry, it was funny to see all these people from Scarborough downtown performing and then all going home after, at like 1 a.m. or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, exactly. I think there was huge groups, and that's why it was weird. We're downtown, but everyone here is from Scarborough. Like, what's going on?
Exactly.
And so, it does mean a lot to people in your community to have Stay Golden and different organizations like that. Okay, so that's great. I'm glad we got a little bit about your story, a little bit about what you do. If you haven't checked out Shoolie, please do that. Also, Stay Golden. And I know also Shoolie's working on some personal projects that you kind of like slightly mentioned with the shower thoughts. And I think there's going to be more to that coming soon.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
that's
cool.
what I'm hoping for. Yeah. I think, I think I can talk a bit about that. So I've had this idea now, to just tell that story and turn that into a one-man spoken word play called Shower Curtains, right? Kind of peeling back the idea of what it's like to, live with grief and the many aspects of healing. And, it's not just like a prescription. There are many things that come into that, and it's different for everyone's journey. And I wanted to kind of share my journey with that, and I'm hoping to write that and share that, and I hope that it speaks to people as well.
I can't wait for that. And I think that's right. I think a lot of people like make things in the shower or imagine and think deeply in the shower.
Yeah.
And so you're literally like pulling back the curtain.
Yeah.
I mean, not literally, like you won't, well, maybe you are. I don't know what the play looks like, whether or not you're going to be actually physically taking a shower or not. But I love that image of like showing people like behind the scenes of what that looks like, of like navigating all these things.
Well, like that's one of the, I don't know, like when I'm sure it's one of the places where you're most vulnerable, right? And so it really ties back to showing that vulnerability in my art form, right? And really kind of showcasing what makes the heart tick, right? Because people don't see the artists kind of slaughtering ourselves for our art, and so and that's part of it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And I think you're doing two very vulnerable things. You're performing in public and you're in the shower. Like two incredibly vulnerable things happening simultaneously is, there's bound to be impact there. There's bound to be some meaningful like conversation there. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see more of it. But it's in the works still, yeah?
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's in the works. It's something that I've had, and I think that I am ready to really tell that story. Like I feel like I was so focused on just going through it, right? And now I'm like, I feel like I'm being able to tell myself that I'll be on the other side once this is done. Yeah, it is part of my healing as well. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Being able to show that whole journey in a small way, but also being able to just kind of showcase that. Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. And thank you for like, there is a part in time, I think sometimes maybe someone who's not a story or an artist will be familiar with that place of not being ready to say something yet. To know that you want to even make something, but in terms of share it.
Yeah.
There's a level of readiness that you need to have,
Yes.
right? To protect yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
Like you share something too soon before you're ready, maybe that's bad, right? And so I appreciate you being honest about taking the time to be ready to tell a story.
Yeah, I think, and I think part of that too is just from experience, you know. I think you've hit on, you know, sometimes as artists we share things, you know, when we're not ready, and it can be tough on us. Yeah, and I've been there, and that's something that I've experienced in the past, and this feels like I'm in a comfortable place, and I'm excited, you know, to see what that process looks like, because I am coming at it from a place of healing rather than in a place of hurting.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I often share things before I'm ready and they usually suck. So I think that's
Same
also,
here.
right?
Same here.
I think I got to like learn a lesson and be like, oh, I'm so eager to share something and I truly wasn't ready to do that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of being a storyteller is like a lesson in patience.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And the idea that the older you get, the better you are telling stories because the more you experience. Therefore, be patient, live life, and feel ready to tell a story or share a piece of art versus always being pressured to like, I don't know, you know, like just put something out because everyone else around you is putting something else out. Do you feel that way at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think, man, it's really interesting because, you know, like we're all in social, right? In social media. And there has been this, the way that people use, you know, the way that artists use social media now too as part of how they create is something that has evolved. And I think that there's a lot of pressure in that. Yeah, and I think that that's something that I am slowly learning to unlearn and just not, you know, just work on the things that that I need to and share when I'm ready. Yeah, and not, like I don't want to feel like I'm like always trying to run and trying to catch up with others.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I'm slowly learning to unlearn this. And I think that's so good. And I think I truly believe that as storytellers, our best story is the next one we're going to tell. And I think that, you know, I think that you're always like, you have yet to tell your best story. And I think that's why it's a commitment to doing this, because it's, you know, rather than being like, oh, the next one's going to be the best one, so I don't have to. No, like you're always going to tell a better one and a different one. And I think part of the beauty of being a storyteller is the pursuit of that, but not by comparing yourselves to others or feeling like you need to have external pressure, you know? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to switch gears a little bit.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
So, you're an artist, you're an organizer,
Yes.
you're a dad,
Yep.
you're a lot of things.
Yes.
How do you do all this at once? I feel like maybe you could. It feels like if I was in your position, I might be burnt out. Maybe there's a lot of like, like unsustainability, or you know, like how do you sustain all of these things? Is it tough? How do you do it?
It's definitely tough. I think that it is definitely it is not stable at all. It's hard, and I think the biggest lesson that I've learned, especially through the pandemic, was being kind to myself. Learning to be kinder to myself has helped, and made me feel like I don't need to be doing everything all at once in order for me to be successful. And trusting in the work that I do, that that people will see the value in the stories and the work that that we've done. A big part of what I want for Stay Golden and for myself is to get get into a spot where there's sustainable funding without having to have this idea that we need to do everything bigger. You know, we don't want to be like, we need to do bigger stuff in order to get more funding, because we believe in the work that we're already doing and it needs to be funded before we can even talk about, you know, going bigger. Yeah, because we're already doing important work. And I know this because other people around me are doing the same work and they are just as important. Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think that's what's part of the lack of sustainability, not only in arts, but in nonprofit in general, is this idea that you have to continue to upscale, continue to scale upwards, to have more, to get the funding and to prove to people that the work you do has impact, which is so backwards, right? Because the idea of art and nonprofit is you're trying to work against the system, but the system is what's building that pressure of like, because that's how a business works or a corporation. They need to be bigger so they can make more money, right? But that's not what we're doing. The aim is not to make money. The aim is to help our communities. So in which case, why do we need to continue to keep growing and growing? And why is that a pressure when really there's so much impact on the work we're currently doing?
Exactly.
That's so important for people to know.
Yeah.
And I hope that more people can be okay with that, but also I hope that there's more funding given to people, not just to scale up. It's not always about scaling up or having more people, but just like looking at your impact. Is it going well? How can we make the impact better? But not necessarily have to fill the room with bodies to prove to people we deserve money.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And that's part of, you know, we're going through, you know, strategic planning right now. And like, I want, you know, our programs to be more focused. You know, it's not about filling the room. It's about getting people the opportunity to be able to access the resources in a way that is, you know, more impactful, regardless of number.
That's so important, and thank you for commenting on that. I think that's just like a really important lesson. I have a couple more questions for you, but we're almost wrapped up here. How you feeling?
Great. No, I think it's I do want to point, like, like I, you know, this is the dream is for Stay Golden, the organization. It's hard. It is hard. Yeah. It's and scary. That's the thing too. Is it is scary, especially when you have a kid. Yeah. Like quick story. You know, like when Stay Golden doesn't get funding, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter to me because I was like, you know what, we'll try again next time, next year. You know, since Kyrie was born, you know, like the rejections have been a lot more impactful. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, and trying to navigate that has been. It really requires me to be kinder, like, to myself. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then that's really like what you can control.
Yeah, exactly.
Is how kind you can be to yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's so many that you can't control in that situation.
Yeah.
But that's so, and thank you for talking about that. Like, I think that's an important, like, that just shows how, like, you know, unsustainable the actual system is. If Shoolie, who, you know, your impact in your community is undoubtedly there. Like, you know, like you have the receipts, you have the evidence to show that what you're doing is important and people need it. And here you are still facing challenges of not only not being able to fund the program itself, but potentially not have enough money to go back to your family. And I think that's really, it's a really important conversation. And I also just really commend your resilience, Shoolie, honestly. Like, I think, like, I don't have any children. I do have people I care for. And, you know, like I do see that being an artist and caring for people is a challenge. And every single day you're like, do I just like quit and get a job or something so I could, you know? But then you realize that people need this. Like, people need this and they have told you they needed it. And so you feel called to do it. And I think that's a powerful thing. And so I just appreciate that you're continuing to, like, you know, do this uphill journey and, you know, knowing that you're helping not only you, but your community too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'm not the only one. And, and there are many people who are supporting me in big and small ways too. So yeah, I think that also helps a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's another thing too, is how important a community around you is, that safety net. So it doesn't feel like you're always alone in this process, because there are people doing similar work. There is a community out there to help you. So hopefully you can either find that or build that around you.
Yeah.
Yeah? Amazing. Okay, so what is the future like? What is it, are you scared? Are you hopeful? Are you a bit of both? What does the future look like for Shoolie? What does the future look like for Stay Golden? What does the ideal future look like?
Yeah. I think for myself, right, my ideal would be to be able to start working on shower curtains. I think that's something that, for various reasons I've put off, but now feel like I am ready to kind of take that challenge on, and very exciting. That's something that I'm excited about, and I love that. And I think that there's a lot of growth that not only for the community, but for myself that will happen through that process. For Stay Golden, we are at a point where we are fortunate to have funding to actually think about stuff. We have that backing to help us be at a place where we are sustainable. And so that is my hope, is just to find that sustainability. How will that happen? And I think I want to shout out, the YCISI funding, because that funding is giving us that time to just no pressure, think about your organization. What does your organization need in order to thrive? What does that look like? Figure that out for yourself. Here's money to do that. And that's amazing,
And kind of rare, so I'm glad you have that.
We need more funding like that. And I think for my family, just health and happiness, and I think hopefully I'm able to be able to provide in a way that I would want to.
Thank you so much, Shoolie. Thank you for sitting down with me today. Stay Golden, check it out. Shoolie, new work coming soon. Anything else you want to say to the camera? How do they find you? What do they look for you?
You can find me on Instagram at Shoolie_, and then follow at Stay Golden Outreach.